and then you'll be able to auto shift the piece once every 6 frames. So being able to maintain a dash charge can be very challenging, and it's vital for survival at the higher speeds. We are moving into our winners semis match, and this is actually where the speed of the tournament increases. Instead of having a choice between a starting level of 9 and 12, the players will now be choosing between level 15 or between level 12 and level 15. To give you an idea of the speed of that is, levels 13, 14, and 15 are all at the same speed. It's just level 15 is optimal for scoring because, well, the Tetrises are worth more on that level. So both of our players stacking cleanly.
Thing is, right now, Poochy is very, very ahead currently in score.
Yes, Poochy has been playing very, very efficiently. I believe this is now 5 Tetrises and a triple. But the biggest skills are later on in the game. You have to recognize when you need to burn lines and when to keep stacking for a Tetris. Poochy's playfield is a little bit ugly right now, not getting very cooperative pieces. This will happen, and that's where just being able to adapt comes into play. And just keeping a playfield that can accommodate all the pieces is probably the biggest challenge in the game. And because of all this downstacking, this has allowed WMD to catch up. Poochy fixing the gaps and is now ready for a Tetris, and does knock it down. WMD firing back. This is a 1 Tetris game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even though Poochy may be ahead in score currently, he's also ahead by 8 line clears, so realistically, if WMD gets 2 Tetrises and catches up line clearing number-wise to Poochy, he will very much be ahead. It's just that he's playing on a much slower pace right now, so again, anything can change. If Poochy all of a sudden tops out, WMD has all the time that he can muster in order to get himself ahead, and since he's behind line clear-wise, it should be possible.
And just scoring efficiency is the name of the game. I've stressed it a lot, but it's the most important thing, is just scoring efficiency. Since there are a finite number of lines, you need to be able to score as many points as possible with the lines that you have. And to be able to maintain flexibility, sometimes you need to make overhangs like that one WMD was.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very fortunate eyepiece to be able to fix that issue that was plaguing him in Column 3. Poochy also having a little bit of difficulty in getting that Tetris well open back up. Did manage to clear out a very pesky line that was in his way, but did have to close his Tetris well. Is slowing down a little bit here. The score may look close. Poochy only ahead by about a Tetris and a half, but you also have to remember that Poochy is 20 lines ahead of WMD right now. So I would actually argue that WMD is in the lead.
No, I would definitely agree to that. Poochy's playing it very fast, but WMD, in taking it slow, has definitely been more efficient in his points. So both players have been keeping a relatively clean stack, though. Poochy, again, his recovery skills are really what shine through here.
And this is an absolutely incredible score that Poochy is putting up right now. Good burn to be able to maximize piece flexibility, otherwise there would have been no place for that J. And now he is ready again. He will be close to, if not at, 300,000 going into transition, which is an absolutely incredible score. WMD having a couple of lines of garbage to deal with. I would not be surprised if he tries to avoid stacking over that hole in column 5 to be able to perhaps clear that with a Tetris. That's one of the most satisfying feelings in the game, is being able to fix a mistake with a Tetris. Poochy has 316,000 points at the transition. This is an absolutely incredible game he's putting on.
It looks like what WMD is opting to do instead is he's just ignoring his bottom 2 rows, and as long as he just pretends that his height has only gone up by 2, he just needs to continue to play normally. He doesn't need to try and clear those bottom 2 lines. It does give a little bit of a disadvantage since he is two pieces higher, and with the speed ever so increasing, it will become tougher to go left and right. But as he showed, he just has to keep a clear head, clear it out, and then he can kind of continue on. He's misdropping a little bit right now. I don't like his pyramid stack in the middle there, but so long he gets the right pieces, it should clear up fairly nicely.
Pyramid stacking in Grandmaster is what you want to do, not so much here. Wherever your Tetris well is, stacking away from that is so important. And another stacking strategy that I've seen is as well trying to keep both columns 9 and 10 open. And you can see the difficulty of the game picking up as the levels increase. So Poochy is actually about to transition to level 16. We're going to see a marked speed increase. This is where the gravity actually increases to 1/3 G. So that's a pretty significant speed increase, and this is where most players will actually start playing for survival instead of stacking for Tetrises, and that's one of the reasons why. If you stack, unless you're a hyper tapper, the safe zone is actually about where the next text is. If you stack higher than that, you're probably going to top out. And that comfort zone is going to be different for every player. That's just the most common one. If you're not as consistent with your dash charges, then you may want to start burning lines earlier. And meanwhile, WMD's stack looks really clean. Should be able to start stacking for Tetrises. Poochy knocking down a high-level Tetris, now at 416,000 points. This is a great game Poochy's on, but it's certainly not insurmountable if WMD can stack for some Tetrises here. And Poochy has transitioned to level 19. This is the fastest speed that a human can play at. This is 1/2 G, and one mistake at this speed will almost certainly cause a top out. So Poochy has put up quite the score of 423,000 points. WMD is going to need to knock down a few more Tetrises to be able to make it past that threshold. It's very doable.
Yeah, looking at least about 30 seconds to a minute ago, Poochy was ahead by about anywhere from 30 to 50 lines. He was just plowing right through the game. So WMD has a lot of time to catch up. With such clean gameplay, it shouldn't be too hard. But again, as the game goes on, mistakes become more and more fatal. So we'll see what happens.
WMD just needs a couple more lines. One more double should do it. And there it is. WMD takes down Poochy in game 1 of this match. That's it's gotta feel pretty crushing when 423,000 is not good enough.
Yeah, and this game is very much a slow and steady wins the race, as you can see.
So now this is game number 2 in best of 3 series. Both of our runners stacking pretty efficiently. Poochy knocking down the first Tetris, WMD ready, and should be firing back with this eyepiece. Now, the amount of points that you get from actually soft dropping pieces only adds up to about 1 or 2 singles throughout the course of the game, which can make the difference if the match is very close, but typically there's no real advantage to playing faster. If anything, just because then if you're the first one to top out, then your opponent knows exactly the score they need to meet. But psychologically, you can use it to your advantage just by putting the pressure on your opponent. Because both of these players can see what their opponent's score is just by looking over. Both players playing extremely efficiently right now. Poochy having a little bit of trouble with high column 6 and 7, does manage to get out of it. We'll need to burn a single or two to be able to maintain the right side well. But with that placement, Poochy will be ready for a Tetris. WMD knocking down a Tetris and getting ready to be set up. Both of these players' playfields are in great shape.
Yeah, and as you can see, Poochy has already jumped ahead again in comparison to WMD. Just a short moment ago, he was already 10 lines ahead, so if it's going to be a repeat of the same thing, then WMD just has to keep his head cool. Maybe not with that misdrop that just happened. That's going to be a bit of a tough clear to do.
Poochy's in a lot of trouble right now. Getting droughted, does barely manage to get it over, and gets another eyepiece. Threading the needle with those 2 clears.
Yeah, I was very lucky that it happened on this level early on and not later on. You can flirt with fire sooner than later in this game.
And this is actually one of the reasons why you actually want to stack away from your Tetris well, so that it gives you that added flexibility. You may have noticed that when Poochy was scrambling for those eyepieces, he actually built towards the well so that only an eyepiece could fit in there. There was no option to burn. And Poochy, I did gloss over this, but Poochy with a very nice T-spin to be able to clear out a double and set up a left side well. And Poochy now up to about a 60,000 point lead, but is 17 lines ahead. So depending on how cleanly WMD stacks, this match could be closer than we think. Poochy with a double well here really needs to think about... Oh, this is a problem. Wow!
That was extremely lucky. And
that
yeah,
clear.
Again, his recovery skills are really what differentiates him from the rest of these players currently. WMD also just kind of slyly doing his own thing. Really clean stack, about to get a Tetris, and he is about a little bit under 20 lines behind. But again,
and remember, 20 lines is 5 Tetrises. When scoring at maximum efficiency, that's close to 80,000 points. Poochy really needs to think about burning here. Playing very aggressively. That burn there was good, but oh no, he is getting the eyepieces, makes a triple. Is up to about 220,000, will transition at about this value, but he's got a bit of a mess on his side, whereas WMD has a much cleaner stack and is playing almost 30 lines behind at this point.
Yeah, with WMD, unfortunately, because of his double wide, his current eyepiece had to be used to shrink the gap there a little bit, but it's still overall very clean. Poochy has a little bit of a Swiss cheese deal going on here, but again, it doesn't take too long to fix it, so...
But Poochy has transitioned to level 13, and at these higher speeds, misdrops hurt more. And especially when you get to 16, all it can take is just one misdrop, and then it's just over. And it can even be on this level as well. You really need to figure out where your comfort zone is, and then decide that's when you're going to burn lines. Poochy actually going to be in a little bit of trouble here as well with this double well, is extremely reliant on an eyepiece to be able to clear anything, and is going to fully commit to a left side clear. And gives him an eyepiece as soon as he covers up as well, because the game knows. This game just knows. People have said that this cartridge is cursed before, and when you start playing this game at this level, you will understand why.
It's a good Tetris from Poochy right there.
And these high-level Tetrises really help the score. Although Poochy is in a little bit of trouble here, but with his recovery skills, that should not be too much of an issue. Gets some nice clean pieces and manages to fix the stack with a high-level Tetris. On level 16, 314,000 points. WMD almost 40 lines behind, but only about a 50,000 point gap, so if he can just hold down the fort, he'll take this match. But it's classic Tetris. Anything can happen.
Even though WMD's playing it on the slower side, it's still not improbable for him to get a misdrop that could completely throw him off his game, so... Both players currently kind of playing low to the ground. Poochy especially probably wants to keep playing as low to the ground as possible.
Absolutely. Poochy with another high-level Tetris, expanding the lead to 100,000 points. And another high-level Tetris! Poochy setting up to be in fantastic shape to transition to level 19.
Ooh, did not get the slide there.
This could be bad. It's looking like this might be one of those situations where you might be able to get one more Tetris before transition, and then probably... Oh, there's the transition to level 19. Poochy needs to start downstacking right now, and it looks like it's about over. So Poochy tops out with a score of 432,000. WMD has a lot of work to do. And WMD is about to transition to 16. So this is 6 or 7 Tetrises. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, he's also only at 120 lines, though, so he has so much time to put in, relatively speaking.
Yes, but the level 16 transition is happening. It will be on the next Tetris. And WMD's stack is not exactly low.
There it is.
There's that transition. So if WMD can pull off just a few Tetrises, I think it's 4 Tetrises? Needs an eyepiece.
No,
that'll do it. That'll do it. So Poochy has tied up this match at 1 game apiece. So this is match point for both of them.
Yeah, it's with WMD. Unfortunately, like I was mentioning earlier, the one misdrop is all it takes, and all the time he has is just gone.
And knowing how much scoring you need to make up when you're the only person still playing can be both a blessing and a curse, because even though you know how many points you need, it can put a lot of pressure on you. And depending on how mentally prepared you are for your match, not knowing how many points you need can actually be a good thing, because it can just put the pressure on the person who needs to it's kind of like just setting the score versus beating the score. Wow, that was a very nice spin on Poochy's part. That was like Jonas level magic there. Meanwhile, WMD knocking down another Tetris and leaving that too wide well. I've been really impressed with WMD's discipline in this match. one thing you just have to be very disciplined to be able to play this game, not get too greedy with your Tetrises, know when to burn, and even just the discipline of keeping that too wide well. Typically, your best strategy for stacking is going to be whatever well or whatever side your well is on. For instance, if you have a right side well, you'll want to keep column 9 as low as possible while still being ready for a Tetris. So that you have enough room to actually put in J pieces and L pieces. When you have a too wide well, J pieces and L pieces are amazing for doing burns when your stack is getting high, like the situation Poochy's in right now. And Poochy with a couple of misdrops.
Yeah,
WMD in recovery mode as well. But this time it's WMD that has the score advantage, so being able to let off the gas a little bit to be able to recover is going to be a little bit easier when you have a score advantage. And now WMD's well is open again as he knocks down another Tetris.
Poochy in recovery mode, but he still got himself a Tetris right there. Overall, it's just a little bit of mending that he has to do, and he'll be right back on track. So long he continues to keep his stacking clear on top, and not just kind of shoving things left and right and creating more holes, he should be able to come out clean. And there he does.
And Poochy with the left side Tetris now has a clean playfield. WMD maintaining a clean playfield. This is incredible scoring efficiency on WMD's end. But Poochy with this right side stack does manage to clean it up with a couple of well-placed pieces.
WMD's in trouble.
WMD is in big trouble. Does manage to get an eyepiece over, and with the right sequence of pieces, should be able to recover.
Yeah, he got it.
And back-to-back Tetrises for WMD. This is huge.
That's like the best case scenario that could have came out of that. Although now he's doing the whole stacking really tall again. It's when it comes to NES Tetris, that just doing that makes me so nervous because you're relying so much on the RNG for the next piece to help you out. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable, but when you start doing it like skyscrapers, it gets rough.
Especially if you start stacking high in column 5 and 6 like Poochy was doing. Does manage to get the eyepieces to be able to recover from it, but when you get 20 and 30 piece droughts, that's where stacking so high on columns 5 and 6 can really come back to bite you. I like the eyepiece tuck that Poochy just did. Sets up another Tetris. And WMD ready as well. WMD does have that one line at the bottom, but I expect that to be cleared out once we get closer to the transition. And maybe not even until the level 16 transition, depending on how his stack looks. Meanwhile, Poochy knocking down Tetris after Tetris. Looking for a T-piece to be able to fix that. Nice T-spin. Very nice T-spin.
Yeah, so far Poochy's been keeping his lead. But again, with even though he can get first to the finish line, if WMD gets beyond that finish line, he's going to take the match here. So
Poochy transitioning with a really ugly stack. Might be able to get out of this, but we'll have to work for it. Missing a T-spin. But with the right sequence of pieces, should be able to get out of this. No. Maybe? That column right 7 is awful high. WMD stacking up pretty high too, but does manage to make a Tetris. and is in a lot better shape to transition than Poochy was. Poochy is just in complete defense mode right now. Does manage to get a lucky eyepiece to be able to fit in. To fit in there, does open up the well again, and has managed to, for the most part, recover. Still a little eyepiece dependent.
Yeah, his hole has some, like, racing stripes going on in there right now.
But now the stack looks a little more stable at the very least. I would not be comfortable with transitioning like this, but at this point in the game, you don't really have much choice. Very nice triple to be able to downstack. Very fortunate pieces around the transition point. So we should be able to see Poochy make a few more lines at the very least. Maybe stack up for another Tetris if he can get all the way down to the bottom of his well. WMD with a fantastic stack right now. Being able to stack for Tetrises at these higher levels should be, and is closing the gap, only down by about a Tetris.
Poochy's still hanging in there though right now. He still has those bottom two lines to kind of worry about, but his stack overall, well, as I say that, oh, never mind.
One block short. That was
a bit of a commentator's curse right there.
And with that, WMD has taken this match and will send Poochy to the losers bracket.